Welcome to a milestone. Can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the 100th episode of Eyes and Teeth. Since I recorded my first conversation with the wonderful Jimmy Cricket back in June 2020, I've recorded over 150 conversations with incredible performers from show business. They're my heroes, my friends, entertainers I admire and respect, and I have spent over 930 hours researching, recording, editing and posting these wonderful podcasts. I'm not going to thank the pandemic because it's destroyed lives, careers and businesses, but I wouldn't have had the time to even start a podcast constantly on the road as a performer. So I want to thank my wife Nina and my daughters Lola and Larissa for putting up with the do not disturb signs on the door whilst I record these chats, and for kicking them out of rooms whilst we all locked down for 18 months. Ironically, I edited around 12 episodes recently, days after contracting COVID-19 myself, to keep my mind off the headaches and the breathing issues I still have. This dreaded virus created the monster that is Eyes and Teeth, and I believe that every entertainer who has a creative flair in them tried something new during lockdown. This was my thing. I've learnt so much from talking to incredibly talented people, and I've survived mentally and therapeutically by talking to people throughout this time. So I thank every single guest who have given me their time to be part of what will be history in years to come. But memories we're able to continue to share to younger generations when they learn about what show business was like from the 1940s to 2019. I wanted today's edition to be extra special, and when I received a reply from Jimmy Tarbuck on my voicemail saying he would love to be on my anniversary show, I was delighted to have it in the can only a few days later. He called me on the morning of February the 6th, 2021, on his 81st birthday. In the meantime, he had half an hour to spare, and we talked about those moments with Tommy Cooper, Sir Ken Dodd, Sir Bruce Forsyth, Judy Garland, Frank Sinatra, Dennis Spicer, Arthur Worsley, the list goes on. And of course we talk about his first steps on the stage at the London Palladium. I've been lucky enough to be introduced on stage by Sir Bruce Forsyth.
But now it's time to introduce the variety performance you've all been waiting for. I don't know about you, but do you ever talk to yourself? I do it all the time, don't I, Bruce? Yes, I do. But here's a man who does it very successfully, and he does it for a living. Representing me and my hockey team, please welcome on stage, Steve Hewlett.
I've been blessed to be introduced on tour by Sir Ken Dodd.
Hi folks, Ken Dodd here at this beautiful, beautiful theatre, the King's Theatre South Sea. Isn't it absolutely wonderful? It's a great thrill to play here. It's a big thrill tonight to work with a brilliant and wonderful young man called Mr. Steve Hewlett. I think he's definitely, he's going to go far, and the sooner he starts the better. Steve Hewlett, ladies and gentlemen, my great admirer of his, and he's got together this fabulous variety show tonight, a wonderful variety show, especially for you, and your entertainment.
These are all wonderful entertainers I looked up to in awe. I've worked with them. But today it's my turn to introduce one of the greats of television and variety, the Palladium, and one of the greatest stand-up comedians to ever come out of Liverpool. Welcome to Eyes and Teeth, edition 100, Jimmy Tarbuck, OBE. I'd like to welcome to Eyes and Teeth my very, very, very special guest, and on his birthday as well, Jimmy Tarbuck. Welcome to the show.
Well, now, did your lips move that time?
They move on radio, only on radio, like Peter Brough did, you know.
That's who I used to laugh. Was it Archie Andrews?
Yes.
He's a ventriloquist on radio, he was, and a very big star.
He was huge, yes.
Max Bygraves used to tell me that they did this show when radio was the big thing before television, and it was very, very popular. Anyway, it's nice to speak to you, young man.
And you too, Jimmy. Thank you so much. You're a huge inspiration to so many comedy acts around this country. It's fantastic. And I recently watched the TV documentary on you, which was it's a great title as well. That you know, that it was called. It was so nice.
Well, that was very kind of them. They came up with the title and the idea, and it brought things back to me that I didn't know existed, and I inwardly smiled at the cheek I had at 23 years of age.
I was just thinking, you entered the London Palladium stage at, was it 23, 24?
The first time on there, I was 23. It was, this I remember, October the 27th, 1963.
Jimmy, where did you get the confidence and the charisma and the energy from to you know, when you went on that stage, you owned it from the moment you walked on?
Well, my dad loved the theatre, and he loved comedians.
Yes.
And he used to take me to the theatre, and we'd see very good comics like Dave Morris, who was a fine, if you want, northern comic was the thing.
Okay.
And but he was very funny, and there was loads of comics who were funny, and I liked watching them. Not necessarily stars,
no,
but funny men.
Just funny is funny. Yes. Around your area, there was quite a lot of comedians, weren't there, that have come out of Liverpool?
Oh, yes. In Liverpool, there was a boy called Johnny Hackett. He was extremely funny, good comic. And, of course, in those days, there was the great Dodd. And he was working the clubs. If you don't mind the expression, and you're serving it yourself, he was serving the apprenticeship.
Okay. Yes.
And you have to do that. And so if you come to a moment which is an important moment in your life, you've had a bit of experience beforehand. Because if you've died the death on the northern clubs, you've died the death. And we'd all done it.
Yes, and I guess that was your groundwork, wasn't it? Like Ken Dodd and yourself and...
Oh, I mean, totally.
So it was coming up through the clubs, and that's where you learn the experience.
Well, he was working with people nearly every day, selling stuff like Chandler's stuff from a van, and of course that's where he went. Good morning, missus. Can I sell you this? And those little things came back to him when he was working as a comedian and not as a salesman. Although you are a salesman,
yes,
when you are a comic.
Yes, it's all in the delivery, as they say.
Oh, totally.
and so it's incredible. Eric Morecambe said to you, "You've got something, and don't ask what it is." But do you know what that was, Jimmy?
Well, that was in the dressing room on my first Palladium Royal show. That was in '64. And I shared a room with Tommy Cooper, Morecambe and Wise, and Dennis Spicer.
Wow, wonderful ventriloquist, Dennis.
And so we're all, yes, unfortunately, died not too long after that Royal show. And he was one of the hits of the show because he had a talking corgi.
Yes, he was on the Royal Variety.
He was very fond of corgi dogs. But we were just on our own in there having a cup of tea. People were rehearsing. And he said, you know, young man, you've got something. Don't ask what it is and don't try to find it. And I applied that and I have done all my life because he was a comedian I immensely respected.
Yes, wow. I think that thing may be charm and charisma. Do you believe it's something to do with that you've got?
Oh, yes, I'm of the firm belief. If you've got likability,
yes,
it becomes that bit easier. It's hard to laugh at someone you don't like.
Yeah, I totally understand. I agree with that. Yes.
And I always thought Bob Monkhouse didn't get the respect he deserved because he was a great comic.
Yes.
He was a good wordsmith, but he was good with, new gags. And Les Dawson was another good wordsmith.
Great with words, weren't they?
Oh, yes. And the beauty is, we're talking now, but Les Dawson, for a period of his life, played the piano in a brothel in Paris.
Wow.
So he had to take the men's minds off other things to have a laugh. And of course, he was a very funny guy.
Yes, it was natural, wasn't it? It's a natural ability within certain comedians like yourself and Tommy Cooper and Les Dawson. It's just that likability factor that you say.
Comedy comes in two phases. There are funny men, and there are men who say funny things.
Right.
Tommy Cooper was a funny man.
Yes. No,
Monkhouse said funny things.
yes. What would you say about Tom O'Connor? He's from your neck of the woods.
Well, I think he learned from being a school teacher.
Really? Wow.
Well, if he's controlling children, that's not easy. He's very good with words, and he's a very, very good, gentle comic.
Like I say, nice delivery, isn't it?
Very, very, very good.
Eyes and teeth.
Very good.
Was your father a comedian?
In the pub, yes.
Yes, and he took you to see Laura and Hardy when you was a child.
Well, I came home from school, I was about 12, and Mother said, instructions from your dad, wash your knees. So I said, well, what am I washing my knees for? We're going out. Where are we going? We're going to the Empire. Good theatre in Liverpool. She said, I've no idea. She did know, but she wasn't to tell me.
Oh, wow.
So we met Dad in a pub called the Legs of Man, which was next door to the Empire. And I had a lemonade, and the old man had his drink. And we went, and we got to our seats. And I had the aisle seat. And all of a sudden, the band played which was on all the films with Laurel and Hardy. And I said to Dad, hey, I know that tune. And on they walk. And I just was opened mouth. I said, they're here, Dad. They're here. And they got an ovation. And I was off down the aisle, and I went down to the rail where the band were in the pit, and I just wanted to look at them. And he looked at me, the fat guy, and he went, hello, kid, and waved his tie. And I run back to my dad, and he said hello to me.
Wow.
I was thrilled, because they were, I can't speak too highly of them for giving people pure entertainment and laughter.
Yeah, completely different aspect to comedy, wasn't it? The slapstick and all of the
Absolutely.
the routines. Yeah.
But of course, they'd learned their trade working, not together. They only got together when they got the States.
Well, we all have our moments of sort of, trying to get into the business, and you won a talent competition at Butlins, which
Yes, I did. I went there with 3 Liverpool footballers, and it poured with rain at Pwllheli in Wales, and they put a show on that afternoon. The campus talent show, and you could get up when we were shy-hiking and having a laugh and shouting out, and the guy said, if you can do any better, come up here. And Bobby Campbell said, here I go. And he stood me up. And I thought, nobody knows you. And I just walked on the stage. And the line I said was, well, don't laugh then. And they chuckled at that. And I went on, and they seemed to like me. And they said, we'll put you on the show tonight. And there was a week of these shows, and I won the week. Which was meaning I got to the final at the last week of the season.
Okay, wow.
And so I went down there again, I think it was in September, and I won the camp, the holiday camp final, and I went to the semi-final in Blackpool, and I won that.
Nice.
And I went down to London, and the guys who won it were called the Coma Brothers. 2 comics, and I just did okay, nothing special. But a guy was in there watching me, and he said, are you working next week? I said, no. We need a compere for the Cliff Richard show. And he had one hit called Move It.
Okay, yes.
Come on, pretty baby, let's move it and groove it. And his band were called the Drifters.
Oh, that's
And
strange.
he had to change the name because of the American Drifters
Ah, yes.
and to the Shads. And I went on tour with them, and it was just a wonderful experience. And they used me on other rock and roll shows with Marty Wilde, Wee Willie Harris, Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran. So I did a load of those, and then I started working the clubs. And, you know, on some clubs in those days, you had to do 3 spots.
Yes.
They made you work for your $5. And so I worked them, and I was 18 at the time. So when I came to that big night on the Palladium, I'd done a bit, and I'd done one television show called Comedy Bandbox.
All right.
And I did, and it only went out up in the north. And they took Val Parnell, who ran the Palladium, to see this, and I had a good night. You know, it just worked, and my nerves weren't,
Yes.
you know. And he said, put him on the Palladium next Sunday. And on the Saturday night, I was on a club in Stockport, in Manchester. I drove through the night. I slept in the car, and then went to the Palladium the next day for the dress rehearsal.
That's showbiz.
And that's how it all started, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I was very, very nervous. And Bruce brought me on. He gave me a very, very nice introduction,
Oh, wow.
saying how hard it is the first time at the Palladium. And they said, whatever happens, don't come back on, because it's a live television show, and when you go off, the next act will be coming. So I had a good night. It all worked and fell into place. And I walked off, and they said, get back on, they're still clapping.
Unheard of.
It was a night of magic for a young man.
Yes.
And I went back on, and I took another call, and I said, thank you, Mr. Forsyth. He said, yeah, well, he called me Mr. Forsyth. And so I did that, never dreaming that in less than 2 years later, I'd be comparing it.
It was only 2 years, that transition. Wow.
Yeah, I was 24 when I went on, and who did I introduce first? Oh, Rudolph Nureyev.
The ballet dancer. Yes. Wow.
I said, I don't know how to introduce them. They said, well, go around the dressing room and ask. Well, I said, he's a huge star. Go and ask him. Knocked on the door, he said, come in. He said, the young host. I said, well, thank you, Mr. Nureyev. And he was dancing with a lovely lady called Antoinette Sibley. I said, I don't know a lot about ballet. He said, young man, neither do I. And that was lovely.
Wow. That relaxed you,
People
I
I
guess.
worked with, the bigger the star, they were, you know, I mean, I got to meet Maurice Chevalier, and he was charming. And then Lena Horne.
Yes.
And then our great Gracie Fields.
Incredible names back then.
Oh, just real, you know, big names.
You had really good years of variety, Jimmy, with the Sunday night at the Palladium, and then there seemed to be a nosedive around the 60s, didn't there? But the 70s and 80s on television seemed to be quite favourable to the variety show, and you had, you know, Tarby, your show was on.
The biggest thrill I've got in this business was they brought me back, and now I'd got a lot of experience on TV, and I was back on the Palladium, and it was different class.
Yes.
And marvellous, and you know, I worked the event. The big event was working with Judy Garland, and she wanted her whole introduction music played, which was 2 minutes, and they had 2 minutes of an empty stage on your screens at home.
Okay, wow.
And then she came on, and it was wonderful.
That's incredible, building up that anticipation. Didn't Tommy Cooper do that? But sometimes he'd wait 20 minutes backstage, wouldn't he?
I don't remember that. He was on my show the night he died.
Do you remember what you said to Tom, the last thing you said to him backstage? Did you talk to Tommy before the show began, or...?
Yeah, I said, he'd been very funny at rehearsals. I said, everything okay, mate? I've become a very good friend of his.
Yes.
An admirer. And, he was a years. Oh, 5, son. 5. Oh. And then he went on and, the events. He didn't fall over, you see. He just sunk down.
It was,
and everyone thought it was a joke.
Yeah, it was graceful, wasn't it? Really, in the way he went.
Absolutely. And following him, we put a commercial in, and it was Les Dennis and Dustin G. I said, boys, and his body was still on the stage while they were on. I said, can you work in front of the curtain? And Dustin G. said, I couldn't possibly. But I said, hey, it's not a case of that. You're going to have to. Tommy's still there.
Yes. Wow.
And they worked very well. Then Howard Keel, he sang, some of the Oklahoma, what it was, and all those lovely shows.
Yes.
And top of the bill was Donny Osmond.
That's an incredible bill. But I remember, Jimmy, in 2004, 20 years, and I think it was almost to the week of when that happened at Her Majesty's. I was doing a charity show with Cliff Richard at Her Majesty's Theatre, and my play on was You Can Keep Your Fez On. I paid tribute to Tommy, actually, 20 years to the week. Yeah, it's a beautiful theatre, wasn't it? But a sad memory, that, really sad.
It was on, as you know, it wasn't at the Palladium that he died, it was at Her Majesty's.
Yeah, Her Majesty's, yeah. The professionalism of holding that show together is down to the host, and only you could have pulled that off, I think, at that time.
It happened, and you just say to yourself, come on, get on with this.
Of course.
Don't show any emotions.
No.
Because the people didn't know he died.
Of course. It couldn't have been an easy thing to do, to carry on.
No, that wasn't easy.
No.
I made a point, though, when I was a kid, because of my dad liking comics, I used to go to theatres a lot, and there was 3 theatres in Liverpool. The Shakespeare, the Pavilion, and the number 4, Royal Court, was the Empire for all the variety acts, and all the great American stars came over. Frankie Lane, Guy Mitchell, Billy Daniels, invariably they were singers. But they always had a good comic on before them, and they had some poor ones.
Right.
I always went to see the good comics.
Yes.
And watch them, and Harry Bailey was a good comic, good Irish comic. Chick and Maisie was a good comic, Scottish and things. But without a shadow of a doubt, I went to Metropolitan Edgware Road, and I saw one of the greatest comics I've ever seen still, Max Miller. And he was wonderful. That's
incredible that you've seen him. I had the honour just last week of being invited to be patron of the Max Miller Appreciation Society. So we're going to make sure his memory stays alive.
Oh, you must.
Yes, it's important.
And he'd work on a floral suit.
Yes.
And a lovely white trilby on there, and he looked the game. He's a good-looking guy, tall guy. He's a boy. Go off, you like bed. And then he'd look at the front row to the mum and say, how's your memory, girl? My God. And they'd be screaming. And he'd go, now listen. And he'd look to the wings. He's not there, so I can tell you this. And they'd all the audience say, oh, Max is going to tell us one here, a Rudy. It wasn't rude. It was the build-up he made to it.
He never ended the punchline, did he? Because he built a picture in your head.
He's a boy, I hope so. Hello. And, just tremendous. And a man called Les Bristow took me round to meet him. And he says, now, come to the bar, son, come to the bar. And I was 18 then.
Okay, wow.
He said, now don't buy a drink, there's no need to. And there wasn't. We walked in, the three of us, Les, Max and myself, and of course, 10 people came up. Hello, Max, would you like a drink? Oh, I'm with friends. And we all got a drink each. I didn't drink in those days. Now then, you want to be a comic, they tell me? I said, yes, Mr. Miller. Okay. He said, now, don't work too blue. Now, he said that to me, and he was a blue comic.
Yes.
But he was so funny.
Wow. But you've never needed the need, have you, Jimmy, to be blue at all? And you never have been. And
no, I slip one or two in occasionally.
Yes.
But I don't have them blind on there, no. That doesn't show me the art of comedy at all. No,
sure. I saw you twice on the Isle of Wight when I was working in a holiday park, and I was 19 years old. And they had summer seasons there, and I come to see you, Kenny Lynch, and Neville King. And Neville got me up that night and used me as one of his stooges. You know, I didn't know he was going to. I was in the front row. I was in awe of you, and your delivery as a comic was just genius. It's something that people need to watch, you know, someone like yourself that's you know, and Doddy, to learn from the best. And it's incredible to actually see you twice. I got to see you that season, and it was wonderful. I remember you leaving the stage, you walked through the audience straight into a car, because we all want to catch the ferry back before midnight, don't we?
That's right. You got to remember, I mean, when you score points as a comic, Ken Dodd, without a shadow of a doubt, is the best stage comic.
Yes.
Stage.
Okay.
We've ever had.
Truly.
He never was at his best on the telly, except with one show, an audience with Ken Dodd.
Oh, wow. But both of them.
Wonderful.
Yes.
As you know, he'd stay on there. Well, he'd stay on there for 4 hours.
Yes.
Now, I don't believe you can make them laugh. They're exhausted.
It must be tiring to keep applauding and laughing for so long.
What he said to me, he says, well, that's why he put the singing in. Like Tears for, you know.
Okay.
Tears for Souvenirs and Love is Like a Violet, all those.
Happiness.
Which were huge sellers for him. And it was just a great, great comic. I said at his funeral, was Ken Dodd a good comedian? I said, no, he wasn't a good comedian. And the Liverpool Cathedral went, oh, yeah. I said he was great. And there's a big difference.
Yes, definitely.
Good and great.
Yeah.
I said he was just wonderful. I said, I don't think he did long enough, personally. Well, I've got a roar. Is it glorious? Dave Allen was a lovely stand-up comic with a great style.
Oh, Dave Allen, yes. Yeah, just truly brilliant with their deliveries and all different deliveries as well. It's what makes a great comic.
Morecambe and Wise.
Yes.
They were great live because they'd learned it on this apprenticeship I'm going on about.
Definitely, it is an apprenticeship. And you've worked with so many ventriloquists as well, like Dennis Spicer, Arthur Worsley, Ray Allen, Ron Lucas. Who could...
Well, you work them out, the vents. I always thought Arthur Worsley was nearly the best I've seen. He did, you know, turn me, he used to do that, turn me round, son, turn me round.
Yes.
And Charlie and that, and he was very funny as well, with a wonderful face. He was great on any bill. One of the funniest I've seen, because and he's not a good ventriloquist.
Roger, he's just funny, isn't he?
It was the things with the bear.
Yeah.
And he could make the bear say things that he couldn't.
Definitely.
Dennis Spicer was a great technician. Beautiful.
Yes.
You know, he could do things of the moment, like, for instance, the Royal Show, and he had a talking corgi. And the Queen's dog was a corgi, so she liked that.
It was topical.
It's an art. I mean, the young man who did the Christmas show at the Palladium, That was 2 years running he was on that show.
Paul Zerdin. Yes.
Absolutely. He worked well on the show. He was surrounded by a few stars as well. But he did very, very well.
Eyes and Teeth. I played the Palladium about 4 times, and there was 3 charity shows, and I auditioned for Britain's Got Talent there. I also was an usher at the Palladium for 9 months, so I know I've felt that magic of that place when it's closed and when it's open. What is it about the London Palladium for you, Jimmy, that makes it for you?
Well, it's the thrill of working on that stage. It is the Wimbledon that is for tennis people. It's Epsom Racecourse that it is for Lester Piggott riding a winner.
Yes.
It's Wembley for football. You go on there and it just hits you and you think they have all been on here.
Yes.
Name me anything. Sinatra, Nat King Cole,
Wow.
the Beatles, Tom Jones, Bassey, Lena Horne, Maurice Chevalier.
Do you know, when I worked that stage, Jimmy, I was standing there thinking Jimmy Tarbuck has worked this stage. Bruce
that's very
Forsyth.
kind of
I, from the heart, it's just because for me, growing up, you and the London Palladium and Bruce Forsyth were the guys that introduced it to us as a young family. So it's an incredible thing. So I always wanted to work it, and I'm happy I've had a chance to do a few.
Well, you've done it. I mean, it's a thrill to have it associated with you, meaning me. For me to be associated with the London Palladium is a big thrill. I mean, I'll drop names terribly here. When I met Sinatra, he said, "You worked at London Palladium, I believe." And I said, "Yes, Mr. Sinatra." He said to me, "Frank."
Nice.
And he was just charming to Pauline and I in Miami. And he said, he's joking with things. And he said, "I open here in 2 weeks. The first show, opening night." He said, "There'll be a table in your name. Please be here."
Oh, wow.
And I flew back to America just to see him. What a charismatic man.
Incredible. What
The
a
true meaning of the word star. But all that age group were Bing Crosby, charming star, and now one of the great comics, Bob Hope.
Yes.
A star and great. Bob Hope said to me, "When you walk on, give them 2 minutes to look at the suit."
Okay.
Meaning always look smart, and I've always worked on that.
Okay.
They don't want to see you walk on like, a bag of spanners. But with a nice suit on, they go, "God, he's well dressed, isn't he?"
That's a good start, isn't it? First impressions, I guess, as well.
Yeah, so exactly that. Look the business.
Yes.
I mean, I've never seen someone that is in my world of stars walk on scruffy.
Not at all. It wasn't a done thing, was it? It's all Dickie Bows and suits, and it's always been kind of smart, especially when the Sunday night at the London Palladium, people respected.
Exactly. And don't look down at the floor. You mustn't deliver to the floor. It's the Palladium.
That's
Deliver
true.
to the upper circle, up there. "Hi, good evening. And welcome to the biggest show on earth with the greatest star. The star being the London Palladium."
Wow, that's
Most
truly.
people are seeing it in their homes.
Yes, it's incredible.
And when I was doing it, we got over 20 million viewers.
That is just a record. It will never happen again with too many channels on. No.
There's too many more stations.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't work.
Being on there, you got a tingle in you.
No, truly.
I mean, instantly, excuse me interrupting you, of being in love. I love the place, and they've got a wall of fame outside, and blow me, they've got me on it, and I often walk in London on the other side of the road just to see, I think, God, I'm proud of that.
I drove past it once and I looked and I saw you there and Brucey, and it's just a wonderful tribute and well deserved. Obviously, you worked so hard to get there, and
That's very nice of you. Right? But while all this talking to you, Stevie, you say well deserved, but so enjoyable.
it's important.
So very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's important to enjoy it, isn't it?
You've got to. You can't do it if you don't enjoy it.
No, of course.
Like Pavarotti walking on and saying, "Oh, I don't want to sing Nessun Dorma tonight." Or Tom Jones with "It's Not Unusual."
Yes,
You want to hear them, and they deliver.
definitely.
Bassey delivered. Seacombe delivered. Frankie Vaughan delivered.
Stars.
And you go, hey,
Yeah.
this is it.
Yeah.
Be the business, and you've got to enjoy it, and you've got to thank them
Yes.
for what they've done for you, the punters.
Yeah, I totally respect my audiences, you know, and they always come back for more, don't they? If they know that you love them.
Exactly, if they love you.
Yeah.
If they love you, you've got it made.
Yes.
I don't know if any young comics listening to your show, with great respect, I say that, but they've got to keep going.
Yes.
Keep trying, and one day, you with your partners being when you do ventriloquism, you're going to be on there and go, hey, that worked.
Yes.
It might have been an aside to the doll. And you go, well, that was nice, huh? It'd be a bit better if you'd stayed still, and something like that. And it'll get you a roar, and you think, cool, I'll keep that in.
Yeah, and I love writing. While I'm on stage, I write quite a lot of material.
Yeah, moments will appeal to you.
Yeah.
You might have gone for a cup of coffee and a bagel or something, and something happened in the cafe, and you say, well, that was nice before, wasn't it? And the doll says to you, excuse me, your partner, and you go, well, that's worked.
Yes.
I'll keep on trying that, and you're a very lucky young man. You're doing something that you love.
Definitely. Yeah.
And keep loving it.
I do love what I do. I know that you love golf. You're actually in a golf club now. I'm in Eastbourne, Jimmy, and I know my wife told me she saw you with Russ Abbott, Ronnie Corbett doing the celebrity golf events down in Eastbourne.
No, that's right.
Do you remember those days?
Yes, I do. Of course I do. They're two nice guys and good company. I'll leave you with advice I got from Harry Seacombe, one of the nicest men in the world. He said, it's very nice to be big, but you don't have to be big to be nice. Good thinking.
And you are both, sir. You're a national treasure, and I really thank you. Happy birthday to you, Jimmy, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Love to Pauline, and take care.
Good luck with your show.
Thank you.
I hope it's a big success for you, and I believe you're going to redo a tour that's being postponed.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And, head down, bowels open, and go for it.
Oh, bless you. I'll be thinking of you when I go back on stage.
Please do.
Jimmy Tarbuck, happy birthday.
And stick with it, kid. God bless. Thank you.
Eyes and Teeth.
Thanks so much to Jimmy Tarbuck. Treat yourself to YouTube clips of Jimmy and his work. There's hours of shows and clips from his time on television. Of course, there's no Facebook or Twitter page, no TikTok, no Instagram, but you can enjoy his work on YouTube. Jimmy is enjoying his time at home, part retirement, or on the golf course, but we have the memories of his work. The TV documentary I saw earlier this year was so beautifully made. I watched it 2 or 3 times, and if you can find it on Channel 5 Catch Up, it's such worthwhile TV. Today's quote comes from none other than Frank Sinatra. He's just driving in now. The best revenge is massive success. I'm going to live until I die. May you live to be 100, and may the last voice you hear be mine. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Nina, Larissa and Lola Hewlett. Additional vocals by Rich T. The Eyes and Teeth music and jingles are produced and performed by Water Rat, Kevin Dean. Join me for yet another episode of Eyes and Teeth when I'm joined on Zoom by PC Stamp from the Bill. But he's much more than that. He's past King Rat, and he will tell you more when I talk to Graham Cole, OBE.